This week's video is going to be more work on that, and maybe a little bit on that. We've got the current project in the shop is the 95 C3500HD that I'm building. You can go back and check out the other videos in the series. I need to get a playlist up, so hopefully by the time you watch this, there's a playlist, because we'll probably end up with 30-40 videos by the time it's said and done. But I wanted to make, as the title insinuates, I wanted to make a little announcement about this project. So the last two projects you've seen me build on YouTube are the 67 Lodestar, Detroit diesel-powered Lodestar, and the 1987 Ford LN9000, Cummins L10 powered. And I did a bunch of work to both trucks, restored / rebuilt, you know, just my kind of custom version of what it is that I do. This one is a truck I've built previously, twice. Back in 2009 and 2014, it's been through various stages of paint and body changes and engine swaps. And this is going to be its final rebuild. And what I'm getting at there is that I've decided, I think, that I'm going to build this truck to sell it.
What does that do? Did that blow your mind? That just happened.
I'm not going to keep this one. In reality, it's not going to serve much purpose for me, quite frankly. You know, I want to build it as a flatbed with hopefully a hydraulic dovetail off the back. And while useful, you know, I'll use it here and there, but it's just not what I really need. I've got trailers up the wazoo. I've got a 35-foot gooseneck I can use, and quite frankly, for the kind of projects and things that I bring home, that gooseneck is far more useful. It's got more usable capacity than what this truck's going to have, and I can pull it with my daily driver. So, and not that I'm not excited about this build. I am. It's awesome. I love these trucks. I love repowering them with 5.9 Cummins, and you know, there's a good following for these trucks too, especially, and outside of even the 3500 HD, there's a good following for just, you know, a 12L Cummins in anything, right? Everybody loves that swap. It's the biggest, the most common swap in the world, literally. But the reason I decided to do it is sell it is A, again, it's not the most useful thing in the world to me, and B, it is it's going to be unique. It's going to be what everybody wants, quite frankly. Room to take more than 2 people. You know, a ramp truck / flatbed / hydraulic tail truck. Everybody loves stuff like that, and it's Cummins powered. And it's going to be a stick. That being said, I'm not going to bore you anymore with me yapping. Today's video is going to be a little bit more work on the mill, on the 5.9. I've got other work I need to do on this chassis that's sitting over here, but I've been into other projects this weekend. I don't have a ton of time, and that's something I want to be able to get going fresh on a weekend and focus on it and really pay attention, and I'm just not mentally there for that right now. I want to tinker around and put shiny things on engines, so that's what we're going to do. I'll take you along. Let's put some shiny things on engines and make it look cool. All right, so what we're going to work on is we got this shiny new alternator. This is this would have been what I believe was the original alternator. I got rid of it apparently, but would have been the original alternator here. Mounts up here, and then that tab that I will have to rebuild mounts there and comes around and grabs the top of it. But I've got a pulley ordered for it. Don't have it just yet, but I've got the proper 8-rib pulley for it. So this should run at low RPM, which the Chevy alternator always struggled with. And it's also a 210 amp alternator, so should be plenty for what I'm trying to do with it, rather than the 90 or 100 amp that was on it. Then we got a brand new AC compressor, same exact compressor that was on this motor. It mounts to that 4-bolt flange there. I may need some new bolts. I don't even remember if I've got them or not, but we'll work on that. Cross that bridge when we get there. At that point, then, I will be ready to measure for the belt and see if the belt I had before is going to work or if we need to have a different belt. I've also got this, which, as many of you probably can guess, is going to go like that. And we've got it even balances. Look at that. And we've got the proper gasket and V-band clamp to make that work. That will then be our out. All right, so started on the alternator, and the bracket on that alternator does not line up. B, It's cracked. So we might be, I don't know, I gotta think about it. See if I can maybe do some little welding and make this work for us. All right, so here's what I've come up with. If I cheat that bushing a little bit, and we'll have to figure out the right washer or additional spacer. Either that or I may actually just take that back to flush and then put a couple big washers right there. Actually, yes, that's what we're doing, just so you know. But I've done some measurements with a straight edge, and I need this flange to be behind this part of the bracket. And you can see, at least with that gap there, but between washers and that bushing that came with the alternator, I think I can make that work. And then this old bushing that was in the mount is for a significantly smaller diameter bolt than what this new alternator wants to take. So, you know, I've got two options. I can bush up the alternator, or I can change. And I think if I spread this bushing I had, it actually was in the old alternator. If I spread it, you know, it's a hair loose in there, but I think it's gonna work. And then I will have to drill that portion of the mount so that we don't have, we can't have slop in the system. We've got to have all this fitting tightly. And then we can find ourselves a through bolt, which I believe is going to be a 1/2 inch or very close to it. A through bolt that'll take all of this. Fingers crossed. All right, so here's what I came up with. This is loose. See me pick up on it. And as you can see, front to back, we've got just a single washer there is all we needed. I put a washer there so that bushing can't pull in and out or whatever. But actually we don't have, I mean, actually I'm not tight at all, I'm just not even finger tight, just barely threaded on there. And I think that's gonna work. And that way, you see I've welded that back up. I mean, it seemed to take, I don't know if it's cast or not, but those are all tight. She didn't snap, so now we'll snug those up just a hair. But now we can work on the bracket and see how we need to modify that. And we can get that out of there. That was loose from the factory. We are not going to use anything there, so let's soldier on. Oh, and I forgot to mention, obviously I installed this, the V-band clamp and the gasket on that intake horn, turbo intake horn, whatever you want to call it. Or actually not an intake horn, that would be an outlet, right? Right.
What is that, a catchphrase or is that epilepsy?
Anyway, we got some old t-shirts plugging everything off now. And so alternator's mounted. I've got this bracket. I cut off some of it just so I could test fit it, and you know, we can move this whole rig around. And I only had one bolt that would fit. Couldn't tell you what I did with the old bolts, but one's all we need. We tighten that up, and that's holding it in place. I just wanted that AC compressor in place as well, so that I could get a feel for everything before I go fabricating on that alternator bracket. I want to have that in place. And then so what I got to thinking was, well, Rob, why would you do any of that until you have the pulley? Pulley is going to show up this coming week, so that's going to turn into a project for another day, because there's no reason to potentially modify that bracket and all that. I've still got the old belt. I think actually that old belt may end up being the right one. If not, it'll be a good indicator. You know, we can use it as our measurement to know what belt we do need. So I'm gonna wait till I've got that pulley. I wanna make sure that everything lines up front to back before I go doing all this too, to make sure I don't need to shim this alternator or modify that bracket any further. And anyway, there's just no reason to go further. So, and some of you may be asking, Rob, why are you doing all this work to an engine that has got to get put in the truck still? Well, most of the reason is because this stuff can be on the motor when I put it in and out of the truck. It's not sticking out any further than what that turbocharger does. And the other reason is just like everything else. It's on a stand right now. It's easy to do this. I don't have to lean over a core support and radiator or over a fender or anything else. It's really easy to get to and mock things up. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So those parts are on. Last step in today's process, I think, is going to be the old downpipe. So if you guys remember, This is the old downpipe. This is very unique, as I'm finding, to and focus to a Ford F700, or maybe other V5.9 medium duty applications. Regardless, she's shot. She's got holes. It's really light. There's not much left of that thing. So what we've got here is we've got a short 90 stainless. We've got a 3 to 4 inch adapter. We've got the proper weld in. We got both halves. We only need one half, but we've got the V-band clamp there for the exhaust, so we can weld that. Hold on, bear with me. So what we're gonna do is, there we go. You come apart. You come out of there. Come on, one-handed. We can do this. Nope. Hands. So, you know, we've already got. Oh, that's not right. Yowzas. Okay. Well, we may not do that portion today. Oh, goodness. Yeah. That is not right at all. I mean, obviously we could pull that off of there, that portion of the housing, and we could weld that right there. But, or actually it'd be like that. But funny story, I don't want to do that. That's also going to push that much farther back, which we don't need. I don't feel like dealing with those bolts when they don't come out the way I want them to. So, yeah, we could still build a downpipe, but we need a different V-band clamp setup. All right, well, as always, I went farther than I said. So I decided I don't feel like trying to find this part and waiting for it to show up and thinking around. I'm here today. So we cut off the old flange that matches that WH1C turbo. And I got out the stainless welding wire. And yeah, this was difficult. I'm not a professional welder. That's point one. Point two is I know there's some spots that look like crap, but these are my mistake. But that adapter and that 90 are Amazon specials, and man, are they thin. Like, ridiculously thin. So very difficult to weld. And then we sent it to just a regular aluminized steel 4-inch part elbow. And if you look close, you know, it's that. Yeah. How can we do this, fellas? If we set them both at that same angle, you can see, boy, we're darn close. Darn close. I've got to get them both to lay flat. I can't get them both to lay flat, but if you lift them up, point being, guys, I'm telling you, they're darn close. So I'm gonna run across the street and see if I can't find that V-band clamp in my 3500 HD part stash. But anyway, there, we got us a downpipe. I'm gonna get that clamp and then I'll show you what we got, and that's about gonna wrap it up for today, boys. Okay, proper views now of what we accomplished. Granted, we weren't working on much today. I was more trying to give you that big old massive announcement, you know, announcement on what this is. There's the downpipe. I think it's going to work out really well. As pain in the ass as it was, being the materials I chose to use, did get that clamp, found that over in my parts bin, cleaned it all up nice with some mineral spirits, and cleaned up the threads, wire wheeled it, brand new lock nut on it, stainless lock nut, and we're in business. So we've got that done, we've got that done, we've got that kind of done, and we got that kind of done. But more work to do. We'll plug away at this thing. We'll keep shopping for parts, transmissions, you name it. We'll keep working on stretch and frame. We'll keep working on air ride. We'll keep working on cross members. That's the next video you're going to see on this truck. And again, she's for sale, fellas. So If you know anybody who might be in the market for such a truck, you know, turn them onto the channel, let them know. We're building this thing over the course of the next few months. Appreciate you watching, as always. Like, subscribe, comment, please let me know. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all take care.